You really can't go wrong with a little Super Mario 64, and that's because the levels in this game are top notch. I don't know what it is, but something about the courses in Mario 64 fascinate me in a way that no other game does. That's not to say all the levels in this game are winners, but most of them are ones that I never get tired of coming back to. So that's why today, I'll be ranking the top 10 Super Mario 64 levels. This list is based on how creative the layout for each stage is, how fun the stars are, and anything else that makes them awesome. And yeah, that's about all I've got. So, let's get to the countdown. Number 10. Shifting Sandland. I've always had a soft spot for desert levels, and Shifting Sandland is one of my favorites. This level contains two separate areas, one inside the pyramid and one on the outside. The outdoor area can be tricky to traverse if you're a noob at this game. The tox boxes and quicksand make this level challenging, but luckily, you can just use Wing Mario to fly right over everything. The inside of the pyramid features a long labyrinth that takes you to the top of the pyramid. There's a good mix of obstacles along the way, but falling down sucks because it can take a really long time to get back to the top. This is also where you'll face off against this level's boss, I-Rock. It's actually a really good fight since you have to take out both of his hands while they both try to crush you. It's one of the more in-depth boss fights in this game and is definitely a welcome addition. Some of the other stars here involve climbing to the top of the pyramid, finding 5 secrets, and breaking Klepto's neck until he forks over the goods. The only thing I don't like about this stage is that trying to traverse it can be quite challenging due to all the quicksand. But like I said, there's ways around it if you know what you're doing. For a desert level, this course does a lot to stand out and is one that I don't think I'll ever have trouble remembering. Number 9. Tiny Huge Island. Once again, we have a level that's divided into two parts. Both parts are nearly identical, except for one thing: their size. One island features miniature Goombas and platforms that are just barely bigger than Mario. Meanwhile, the other island is huge and contains the same obstacles as the tiny island, except now they're much larger. So basically, you get to play as either an ant, which is merely the size of a speck of dirt, or you get to play as a literal god that can destroy anything in its path. But believe it or not, I actually prefer playing on the huge island. I think it's a lot more enjoyable taking on Goombas that tower over Mario and making ridiculously long jumps over bottomless pits. And besides, the platforms on the tiny island make it really easy to fall off, and it just isn't as fun. Some of the stars here include climbing to the top of the mountain, fighting off a nasty horde of piranha plants, and flooding Wiggler's home and then beating him senseless. Okay, that got kind of dark. If there's one complaint I have with this level, it's that trying to navigate the tiny island is more tedious than fun. But you barely spend any time here anyways, so it's not really that big a deal. I really like Tiny Huge Island, but it's got a few issues that hold back this level's greatness. Number 8. Tall Mountain. How tall is the mountain, you ask? Well, if we take the standard conversion rate into consideration, it's approximately 3.5 Funky Kongs tall. What a world we live in. Anyways, this level is definitely one of the largest ones on this list. This mountain is huge, and it takes a considerable amount of time to get to the top. There's tons of tricky jumps and menacing obstacles along the way, but I wouldn't say it's too challenging if I'm being honest. As long as you know how to long jump, this level is quite easy to traverse, and shouldn't prove to be too much of a fret. Some of the stars here involve climbing to the top of the mountain, catching an out-of-control monkey, and shooting to a lonely mushroom. Actually, that star sucks. But the best one is without a doubt the slide star. Yep, this mountain's got a slide level baked onto the inside, and it's such a blast to play. It's the hardest slide level in the game, but that also makes it the most interesting because there's more things that you have to look out for. Overall, I think Tall Mountain is an excellent level, and one that is definitely worthy of being one of my favorites. Number 7. Jolly Roger Bay. Captain Hook must have had one hell of a day, as it seems his ship has sunk to the bottom of the ocean. But in my opinion, he couldn't have asked for a better spot to get stranded. Jolly Roger Bay, for the most part, is a water level. And if you know me, you know that I almost always hate water levels in video games. But luckily, that's not the case here. The atmosphere here is very calm and relaxing. There aren't very many enemies here, so you feel like you're alone for the most part. And it's just a very deep feeling overall. It's kind of hard to describe what it feels like, but it's a feeling that I don't associate with any other level. Some of the stars here include draining a sunken ship, using Metal Mario to grab a star at the bottom of the water, and swimming to catch a star on the back of the eel's tail. There's also a small cave you can explore too, and on some of the stars, the ship is back above the water for you to climb on top of. There's a lot of variety when it comes to the stars in this level, and that's something that I always appreciate. Like I said before, it's a miracle I even like the stage at all, considering how terrible I am at water levels, but this is one that never fails to disappoint me. And I haven't even mentioned the best part yet, the music. If you've heard this song before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just so laid back and peaceful. It almost makes me want to fall asleep whenever I hear it.
Good night.
Hey, come on, we gotta finish this video, future me. Come on, get up. Don't make me get out the alarm clock, young man, because I will. Wake up! Number 6. Snowman's Land. This is a level I don't hear too many people talk about, and that's a real shame because I've always found this course to be one of my favorites. One of the first things you'll notice upon entering is the large snowman located in the middle of the map. He may look friendly at first, but he's actually a really big jerk. If you climb up where his face is, he'll think you're a bug and try to blow you off. And he's actually pretty good at it. Aside from that, you'll also have to face off against the ice bully. I believe he's the regular bully's second cousin or something, but I'm not really sure. Their family history is kind of confusing. You can also go inside an igloo, except that it makes zero sense. I mean, the igloo's barely bigger than Mario, but then when you go inside, it's the size of a convention center. Explain the logic to me on that one, Nintendo. The only annoying part about this level is that there's way too much icy water. If you stay in it too long, Mario will start to take damage and it can be really annoying, but it's just a small price to pay in order to experience this masterpiece of a level. Number 5. Big Boo's Haunt. Let me tell you guys, King Boo is overrated, okay? Everyone knows that Big Boo is where it's at. He may not have a crown, but he certainly does have one sick-ass mansion, am I right? This level takes place in a big house that's filled with ghosts, haunted furniture, and
We don't speak about this to anyone.
The house itself is pretty giant, and there's lots of rooms for you to explore. There's even a creepy carousel in the basement, because of course there's a creepy carousel in the basement! Why wouldn't there be? Some of the stars here involve defeating Big Boo, and defeating Big Boo again, and again. You do face off against Big Boo like 3 times in this level, but at least there's some difficulty with the locations you fight him in, and you also get to fight Big Mr. I. Okay, I know this isn't really a boss fight, but the Mario 64 wiki said so. So a lot of the stars in this level do blend together because the objective is almost always the same. Most of the fun comes from just running around the house and exploring all the different rooms. There's just something about this place that gives off such a fun vibe, and I absolutely love it. But of course, it wouldn't be a complete review if I didn't bring up the Ghoul Medal. What's that? You've never collected the Ghoul Medal before? Well, it's something only us Mario 64 experts can find. What's that? You want to know how I got the Ghoul Medal? Oh, please. That's way too easy. The way I got the Ghoul Medal was... Number 4. Cool Mountain. This is the other snowy level in Mario 64, and while I like both, I've always found this one to be much cooler. Get it? Cooler? This is a very vertically based level, as right from the beginning, you're greeted to a lawn slope that you have to slide down. From there, you'll descend down the mountain, dodging evil snowmen and making tricky jumps. It's a long way down, so there's plenty you'll get to experience on the way there. The only way to get back to the top of the mountain is through an invisible warp, which is stupidly cryptic, but it's whatever. And the stars here are some of the most creative ones in the entire game. You'll reunite a lost penguin with his mama, help a snowman find a new body, and even race a penguin down a slide. Yeah, that's right, there's another slide here, and it's freaking amazing! I usually prefer the tall mountain slide over this one, but I still really enjoy this one a lot. My only gripe with this course is that once again, it can be kind of difficult to get back to the top. But even so, this level manages to remain absolutely outstanding. Number 3. Whomp's Fortress. You know, I'm not quite sure why the Whomps built this fortress in the first place. I mean, what are they trying to protect? The power stars? But even that doesn't make sense since half of them are out in the open. Not to mention you can't even go inside, practically defeating the whole purpose of the fort! Silly game logic aside, I love this course. This is one that I've played thousands of times, and it still never gets old. The fort itself features things like thwomps, moving platforms, and of course, whomps. The whomps will try to flatten you if you get too close to them, but luckily, they move slow enough that you have just enough time to get away. Some of the stars here include finding the Whomp King at the top of the stage, riding an L to get to a floating island, and shooting Mario out of a cannon towards the fortress. Wow, so not only is the entire existence of this fort useless, but all it took was one human body to dismantle an entire wall. Seriously, what were these whomps thinking? But it doesn't matter in the end, since this level will always be one of my favorites. Number 2. Lethal Lava Land. Is this a hot take? I'm not actually sure if people generally like this level or not, and oh my gosh, I just made another temperature-related pun! Man, I really gotta stop doing that. Anyways, this level is surprisingly really flat. It's mostly just a sea of lava, with various platforms and enemies spread out across it. That might not sound like too interesting of a level, but it's actually a lot more fun than it sounds. Getting around is really fun, because you have to think carefully and plan out each jump in advance. You can't just casually wahoo yourself across the stage, because there's so much lava, and it makes for some really creative platforming. One thing that's really cool about this level is that you can actually climb inside the volcano in the middle. Doing so will take you to a completely new area, with multiple stars to collect. The inside of the volcano is more vertically based and features even more type platforming that's always appreciated. Aside from that, you'll also face off against a big bully, roll on a log to get a star, and even solve a Bowser puzzle. It's all fairly simple in my opinion, but I always love doing it regardless. The last thing I want to talk about is the music. Man, oh man, do I love this song. This is the music of my childhood, ladies and gentlemen, and I never get tired of listening to it. Lethal Lava Land might not seem like much at first, but it's got so many creative elements that it's absolutely deserving of being on this list. Number 1. Bob-omb Battlefield. Call me cheesy for putting the first level in the game at number 1, but in my eyes, this level is so much better than all the rest. The best thing about it is just how open it is. A lot of the courses in this game feel really condensed at times, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but that isn't really the case here. There's so much room to just jump and run around, and it just feels so natural. Plus you've got all the cannons everywhere that let you shoot Mario from one side of the stage to the other. And there's another Koopa shell, so you've really got the best of both worlds here. I also love that there's so many different ways to traverse this level too. Like you can follow the path and go across the bridges like you're supposed to, or you can disregard everything and just jump kick up the side of the mountain. Because who doesn't love breaking their video games, am I right? Some of the stars here involve racing Koopa the Quick, collecting coins in the sky, and freeing a chain chomp from his post. But my favorite one has always been the fight against the big man himself, King Bob-omb. The fight itself is super easy, since all you have to do is pick him up and throw him, but it's still one of my favorite boss fights of all time, just because of how memorable it is. Bob-omb Battlefield is a level that I will never get tired of, especially considering how many dozens of hours I've put into it already. I think that many of you watching will probably also agree that this is indeed the best level in Super Mario 64. And that's gonna be it for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to leave a comment down below telling me what your favorite levels from Mario 64 are. And don't forget to like, subscribe, brush your teeth, make your bed, do your taxes, and all the other things you should probably be doing right now. Until next time, goodbye.